Hello, parents, and welcome to your flipped back to school night lecture. My name is Mrs. Myers, and you are here because your child is enrolled in AP Psychology. For those of you watching at home, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that it's helpful for parents and students as a resource to guide you throughout the year. So first of all, I want to start the night off by talking about a little bit what AP Psychology covers. So if you've taken any psychology courses in college, you might have taken a very specific college psychology course, but AP Psychology is somewhat of a survey course, meaning that it covers all the different topics covered in psychology. So here's a brief little list of all the topics we will cover. Everything from the brain to personality to motivation to feelings to social psychology. We have a little bit for everything. I'll be sending this home a little bit later about the breakdown of the course and how you can study as the AP test comes up. But for now, just know that your child will be exposed to a lot of different subfields of psychology throughout the year, and I'm hoping they find one or two of them very interesting and are excited about taking in depth in college. So why you're here tonight, a little bit, I'm sure you don't want to hear about the course, but what I can do to help your child, what your child can do to be successful. So I wanted to start out by looking at this poster, which is a poster I took a picture of from Sac State. And this is a poster they have up at Sac State, and it's called the Committed Students. And I'll kind of make this bigger for you. But it's the Commit to Study program. And on this poster is a list of skills that Sac State professors felt like their freshmen were lacking. Okay, so here's a list of the 8 skills that they wanted students to have in order to be successful. And so I show this poster to the students the second or third day of class, and we talk about these skills so you can kind of scan through them really quick. But it says things like study at least 25 hours a week, work no more than 20, attend every class, be prepared, engage in your education. And we talk a little bit about the difference between skills and intelligence. Because a lot of the times students and parents and teachers think that to go to college, students need to be smart. They need to have high intelligence. But we spend most of the semester talking about is that a lot of these successful skills are just that. They're skills, and they can be learned. And if you look at some of these things, they might be surprising to you. So I have the students rank them, which ones are the most surprising. And most often they'll say, number 1, to study at least 25 hours a week. That's a lot of hours. And then number 5, rewrite notes within 24 hours. But this is a list of skills that professors came up with that students are missing. So we talk about how we can learn these skills now so that you'll be successful later. And some of the things are not very surprising to students, like write things down in a planner, go to class prepared, attend every class meeting. But we talk a little bit about how college is different, that no one's taking attendance and no one is making sure you have supplies. So we come back to these throughout the year at different times, but the main thing we focus on when we look at this is that these skills can be learned, right? This is not an inborn set of skills that you come with. They're things that you learn from your environment or that are reinforced, and that even if you don't feel like you have a skill quite yet entering an AP class, you will. We talk a lot about what an AP student is, and each and every one of my students is an AP student, and we learn about how to be a successful AP student. Okay, so here's a list of skills that the AP teachers at our school have come up with on what makes a good AP student. And I'll talk briefly about these, but I just want you to know that in addition to covering the content of psychology, a lot of the year we focus on making I focus on making my students just a better person and a better learner, not just for psychology, but in all classes. So I like for them to be able to take a skill and then apply it in English and then math and outside of class even better. So here are the skills of an AP student that hopefully you'll be hearing about throughout the year from the other AP teachers too. So first we talk about growth mindset, the ability to learn new things, to know that your brain can change, that you don't know something yet. We talk a lot about the power of yet, how even if you don't have something down quite, that we will help you get there. We focus on organization. Organization is a skill. It's not some people are better at organization than others, but for those of us that are not, you can learn how to be organized and write things down in a planner and a time management. We learn the power of perseverance. What happens when we don't do well? You'll notice in one of our classrooms, Ms. Stanley had put up a poster. It says our favorite mistake. So how do we have something happen and we bounce back from it, which kind of goes along with resilience. So when we do come back from that failing of a test or not doing well on a quiz, how do we persevere, and what plan are we going to make to do that? Perseverance doesn't happen by chance. There's always a plan. We talked about remaining optimistic throughout all of our schooling, and and having good intentions for what we do. Study skills I'll talk a lot about in the next slide, but those are definitely just that, skills. We can learn them. And then staying engaged in our education, putting away our cell phones, focusing on what we're learning, and asking questions when we don't understand. So here are the skills that we have come up with as teachers that we feel like will help our students be successful, again, not just in the classroom, but outside of the classroom as well. So let's talk a little bit about my classroom. This is a flipped classroom. So if you don't know what a flipped classroom is, basically, we take the lecture part that is normally done in class, and the students take notes for homework. And I'll show you that in just a second. And then we take the homework portion that used to be done at home, like the reading, studying, summarizing, and we do that in class. So that's why it's called a flipped classroom. We just kind of flip the order of those. I'll show you how to access my flipped lectures in just a minute, but what you're experiencing right now is a flipped lecture. You're getting this at home versus in person, okay? So in order to access the lectures, hold on just a second. Okay, I had to bring that screen up. So in order to access the lectures, I have all my lectures on YouTube. I put them on YouTube because it is the most easily accessible website for students. They can watch them from their computer, but they can also watch them from their phone. From YouTube, they just search Krista Myers, and you can do this as well if you really want to watch some of the lectures. So Krista Myers, the first one that comes up, there's an Antelope diploma here. So if you click on this, this is my YouTube channel. And the great part about if you're watching this in the classroom right now, you can actually go home. I'm emailing this home, and you can show your students how to, or your kids how to get on YouTube for the class as well. So if you click down here on playlist, all of the content is organized by different playlists. So right now we're in Unit 1, Research and History. And when you click on that, this is all the lectures for the past couple days and for the future days. So not only is this good for students if they're absent or if they want to rewatch lectures, but also for students that are really active. So if you have a dance show coming up, if you have athletic competitions, if you have other big tests coming up, you can actually take all of your lectures on the weekend. So you can do the 5 lectures for the week and have them all done so that you don't have any nightly homework for that week. Or some students just take them every night. So they click on the lecture here, they watch the lecture much like you're watching right now, and they take notes. So the first thing we talk about for study skills,
Welcome to your first at-home lecture for
there we go, is how to take notes. So here is the process that I teach students on how to take notes, and it's a DDRRSS, which is divide, document, record, review, summarize, and study. So the part that they're supposed to do at home are these 3 parts, the DDR. They divide, document, and record. What's done in class is the RSS, the review, summarize, and study. And we do that in groups, and I'll show you that in a minute. But the students organize their notes somewhat like this. I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see. But they put the content that's on the slides on one side. They write down things that we are said or extra content. We talk about really strategic highlighting, so just highlighting vocabulary words. And you can see how there's different colors used in the margins. And the SMH up here stands for summarize, marginalize, and highlight. And they do that for all the notes that they take at home. When they get to class, and you can ask to see these, we do something called ins and outs, and these are kind of the in questions for the day and then the out questions, the objective. So these are all questions based on the notes they took the night before. So talking about what is structuralism, functionalism, and then some type of application. We have a class discussion about this. We make sure that their notes are correct, and we use our notes, because there's really no point, going back to this, of writing things down if you don't do anything with them. You can write down a paragraph in French, but if you don't do anything with it, it doesn't mean that you learned it. Okay, so we talked about how writing doesn't equal learning. So we review, summarize, study to make good notes. And that's going back to that college slide. Instead of rewriting the notes within 24 hours, if you take good notes the first time, you're much better off. All right, so once we have our in and outs here, they come to class, they study them. This will also actually serve as a study tool for you at home. If you want to quiz them, you can actually take their binder from them and ask them these questions, and then the answers are written right across here, and you can actually see if they're learning the content and not just writing it down. And for those of you that are interested in more resources, because there's a lot of resources within the notebook. So again, I ask you to actively ask your students, hey, let me see last night's notes. Hey, let me quiz you on your ins and your outs this week to make sure you have that content. But there's a lot of online resources we have for parents and students as well. One thing that they take home from my class that was given to them the second or third day is a planner. So on Mondays, we write down all of our assignments for the week. So they should have those written down in any test that we have coming up. So they should have that with them. Their notebooks, like I already talked about, you can actually take their notebook from them and actively study with them. And you can check their notes and make sure they're thorough. Intervention, we have daily intervention Tuesday through through Friday, and we use intervention for AP Psych every single week. So it's not a time where the students can sit back. We lose some minutes for intervention from our daily bell schedule, so we take those minutes back during intervention. And in intervention, we talk about quiz retakes, we talk about skills, we help ourselves get organized. So we use intervention for a lot of different things, to intervene with students who need a little bit more help and to push the students that need a little bit more pushing. Okay, I'm going to quickly tell you about their two online resources for the class, Quizlet and Albert.io, and how you can help them at home study with Quizlet. So Quizlet looks like this. It's an online, program of flashcards. So if you went through college and wrote down all those flashcards like I did and had like stacks of flashcards, well, it's all online now. So when you go to Quizlet.com and you search, I share a Quizlet with Miss Carol from Oakmont. So if you go Aunt Oak, and students can actually sign in with their Google. So all of this can be accessed with their student Google account. Aunt Oak Psych, and so you can actually just click on the first set here. But Aunt Oak Psychology is an online Quizlet account that has all our vocabulary. And vocabulary is not the most important part of AP Psychology. The connections and the application is the most important. But in order to be able to connect and apply things, they have to have the content or the words to do so. So this is an online flashcard program. So for instance, I just clicked on Unit 9, which is development. So here's all the vocab words for this unit. But the really cool part up here are the flashcards. They can go to an online set of flashcards and they can actually quiz themselves. So they go and they click on the flashcards and it comes up and they can flip it over like so, click to flip. And if they miss it, they can actually star it up here. Okay, so when they star it, it goes into a separate pile. So once they've gone to a separate pile, they can actually go back and access. So people's ideas about their own and mental states. And if they flip that over, oh, I missed it, it's theory of mind, I can star it, right? And then up here, they can click their starred terms. They can just study those two sets. So it's a way of students like organizing, this is what I know and this is what I don't know, and this online program keeps it. It also has some really cool things like the ability to test yourself. It has the ability to spell, so it'll say the definition to you and you type it out. But this is an online program we use in class a lot. But there is some at-home studying component, especially if they don't do well on a vocabulary quiz. So this is Quizlet.com, and the great thing about this lecture, you can rewind it and watch me do that again if you missed any of the steps. The other second online resource we have is Albert.io. This is an online multiple choice questions. So again, they can sign in with everything through their Google. And when they sign into Albert.io, this gives them multiple choice questions, and it allows them to retake the units over and over and over. So they're not only seeing the vocabulary words, but how to use the vocabulary words. And again, Albert.io is something that, I won't go through this right now. It's something that we do in class, and they'll have a resource at home to be able to study, okay? The last thing we have here on campus is AP Tutors, students that have already taken the course, students that are here to help, and they'll give more information about AP Tutors as we need it. The biggest resource, though, I want to leave you with before we go is Mrs. Myers. Hi. So I am here to help students in whatever way possible. Please email me, please contact me if there's some questions you have or concerns that you have. And I do like, the last thing I like for parents to know is that I am also a parent. These are my two boys, and they just started kindergarten, first grade. And I'm so sorry I'm not here tonight to meet you because I'm with these two right now at their back to school night. So anyways, I totally get it. You are out to get the best for your kids. You're there to be their advocate. You are there to go to bat for them, and I'm here to help you. So please, 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 if you have any questions, my name is Miss Myers. You can email me. Hopefully your students have already talked about this class a little bit, but I'm also going to type in my email right here. And it's kmyers@rjsuhsd.us. All right, thank you so much for coming to Back to School Night or for viewing this from home. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Have a wonderful evening.